In the early morning hours on January 26, 2005, during rush period, Metrolink train northbound 901 is leaving Los Angeles. The train had one locomotive and 3 passenger cars. The leader was F59PH 873, 2 coaches 177 and 148, and cab car number 623. In addition, the train had 30 to 50 passengers on board. The train was heading towards Burbank Airport as well. Meanwhile, in the southbound direction, Metrolink train 100 was approaching Los Angeles. The train had 1 locomotive and 3 coaches. The leader of this train was cab car 625, 2 coaches 133 and 197, and F89PHI 883 on the rear. In addition, also, the train had 200 to 250 passengers. Meanwhile, a freight train that was running west was supposed to repair some tracks due to some severe rainstorms it had in January 2005. The train had 2 engines leading, UP SD70M 4323 in the lead, and CEFX SD40M-2 3124 trailing. The 2 trains were supposed to meet in Glendale, California, right where the freight train was. But then, the southbound crew notices something, and as soon as they get closer, they realize it's a sports utility vehicle on the track, sitting in their path. The southbound engineer immediately throws the train into emergency braking, but then it was too little and too late. The southbound Metrolink train collides with the car at 6:03 a.m., derailing 2 of the coaches from the southbound train and derailing a few of the coaches from the northbound train. 4323 ends up toppling over onto its side, damaging its front part with minor damage. The only one that was not damaged was 3124. Since it was near a Costco store, multiple people rushed out to help the victims. In total, 11 people lost their lives and 177 were injured. But the real question was, how can this cause such a bad of an accident from hitting a car? What was the cause of this accident? The NTSB launched out an investigation that the car belonged to a guy named Juan Manuel San Alvarez. I do apologize if I pronounced that wrong. But on the day of the crash, Juan decided it would be a good idea to drive out his car and commit suicide. But he soon changed his mind and tried to back up. But on the day of the crash, the rails were slippery, making it hard for him to move. And as soon as he saw the train coming, he got out of his car and watched the crash from his view. But this wasn't the first time he tried committing suicide. He tried to commit suicide in the past, but has failed miserably. Why did he try to commit suicide? Well, the reason why is because he was going through a breakup at the time of the crash. His wife had filed for a restraining order against him due to him being threatened to her kids. After the wreck happened, he was charged with counts of murder with special circumstances. During the trial, the defense maintained that Alvarez never meant to hurt anyone due to his suicidal attempt, but it could be prosecutors claimed that he was trying to do that to get attention from his wife, ex-wife if you want to call it. On June 26, 2008, Alvarez would be guilty for first-degree murder and would be sentenced to the Kern Valley State Prison, where there he would get 11 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Probably the only engine that suffered the least amount of damage in this wreck was 4323, and soon after, it was repaired and put back into service. Some of the cab cars were deemed a total loss and scrapped, while some of them were retired or sold for parts. It's been 18 years since this wreck had happened, and is this the end of these crazy wrecks? Sadly, the answer is no. And if you were wondering, 3124 and the diesel locomotives were deemed undamaged and were put back into service. Anyways, the next wreck that was similar to this was the 2008 Chatsworth train collision, where a Metrolink train collided with the UP train and started a fire, which killed 25 people.